opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And welcome to the glorious return of Running Point. Yes, we are back. Anthony Hartwig with you. First time in the chair since last Thursday. I apologize for being away, but man, Scotty, who's my sidecar, Scotty Mincher, got hit by a brick wall called the flu over the weekend. It really knocked me out.
Yeah, I don't know why, but when you said it's the glorious return, Anthony, you know what I immediately thought of? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
So you saw the Space Odyssey 2001?
Superman.
See, I couldn't hear that in you were doing the start. Okay. Yeah, okay, I hear it now.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I got it now.
You got it.
Glorious Return of Superman.
I should have made it more clear.
No, it was good. For some reason, I heard Space Odyssey in what you were saying, which is kind of close.
Yeah,
it's slowed down a little bit. It's got that like progression to a real big, ending. So it's that's what I heard. So I was like, Space Odyssey 2001. What are you talking about? But yes, Superman. I like it. I like it. Classic John Williams. Good way to pull it out, Scotty. Way to pull it out. Good job. But yes, we are back. We've had a lot go down, like so much that we probably can't talk about everything that's happened since the last time we were on Running Point. Week 10 is done. We have our playoff matchup set. One of the things I do want to get out in the open real quick here on a Wednesday, since we are 2 days away from playoff round one. A reminder, we've had a couple of posts on our social media about it as well. We've had people asking. We will have playoff football. We are trying to get every game that our YSN teams are playing cleared. We are almost there. We have quite a few cleared in green on our spreadsheet. But the playoffs will be like every year, Scotty. It's the same kind of deal. Pay-per-view, one payment of $9.99 will get you access to every game that night. So, for example, you're out there, you pay $9.99 for one game, get the whole playlist, and let's see. Right now, this is not done. We're not done clearing games, so this is not like an official tally of how many we will have on Wednesday. But right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 17 games cleared with announcers green right now. So you're paying $10 for 17 games. That is less than $1 per game. I don't know exactly what that would be. I guess I could do my calculator and see how much that would be per game. It's just over 50 cents a game that you're paying for the play. If today was Friday, by the way, we still have a couple of days to get a couple more games cleared, which hopefully we will. So as of now, you're paying 50 cents a game, right? So that is about $10. No, actually $12.50 less than what you have to pay the OHSAA to get into the game on the online ticket fees. So I think you're having a good deal. I think you're having a good deal.
Yeah, not too shabby, I would say.
No, not too
Not at
shabby at
all.
all. So yeah, we have playoff football. The matchups are set. We are still ready to go for that week 11 coming at you in a couple of days. We'll talk about week 11 and all the things that are happening on today's show. We'll also, of course, recap the soccer scores from last night. We had regional semifinals on the girls' side last night. We have regional semifinals on the boys' side tonight to talk about as well. And then tomorrow we'll have regional semifinals for volleyball. So we have been Monday was kind of a calm before the storm. There were no games in any sport on Monday. So we had kind of a eerie calm for the storm. And then Tuesday last night was regional semifinals for girls soccer. Tonight's boys, Thursday volleyball, Friday football. Saturday, hopefully we have teams make it to regionals and we'll have a couple of games over the weekend as well for soccer and volleyball. Let's go to the scoreboard. Well, first I have to put it on our screen. I told you I'm out of it, buddy. Got to put it up on us first. Let's see here.
You'll get back in the
There it
groove.
is. There's the scoreboard.
There you
Scotty,
go.
who's the scoreboard brought to you by?
Burnett pools, spas,
Gentlemen,
and hot tubs. We've got it all.
absolutely. You got it, Scotty. And this is the scoreboard for Tuesday, October 29th, 2024, regional semifinals in girls soccer. We start with Hoban. They fall to Toledo. St. Ursula Academy 1-0 the final score there. Tough one for Hoban. Tough one for a lot of these teams going up against really strong opponents. Louisville was going up against third seeded Bay. Louisville was a 22 seed, so they were big underdogs, but they fought really hard. 2-0 the final score. Bay gets the win there, knocks out Louisville. You can find pictures from this game on YSN Live Smug Mug. Gary Leininger was out there at Boardman for this one to take pictures of the game. So if you're a Louisville girls soccer fan, make sure to check out our Smug Mug for action shots of that game. West Branch falls 1-0 to Chagrin Falls. So the Warriors season unfortunately comes to an end. Scotty, the only YSN team to advance, Poland, they get the win over Wycliffe 2-0, and the Bulldogs are going to the regional finals one step away from the state semis. Exciting times for Poland. They'll play Saturday. We'll get to their opponent after we're done with the scoreboard. Battle of the Inverted Eagles. Look at that, Scotty. We have one eagle pointing to the left, one eagle pointing to the right. But it is Hubbard that falls in this one over Pemberville Eastwood. 3-0 the final score in that one. KFK had a really good game. Berkshire came in really hungry. They had not been to this point ever before in their program's history. But props to the Badgers. They get the win 2-1. They get the clutch goals down the stretch to win this game. It is the Badgers' first ever appearance into the regional finals. So we tip our hat to them. They're not a YSN school. We weren't rooting for them, but now that they've won, we definitely can tip the hat and congratulate them on what is a historic season in their program. And then last but not least, Mooney, after winning the district championship in a tight one, 1-0, they fall to Chippewa, Doylestown, Chippewa. And the final score there is 5-0. The Lady Chips get the win over Mooney to end their season. So, Scotty, not the night we wanted. We had 7 teams vying for a shot at the regional finals. Only one team advances, but that's how postseason is, buddy.
Yeah, it's the exhilarating, or even in this case, the harsh reality of the postseason. But credit to Poland. I guess you can say the bite is back, Anthony, right?
The bite is there. It is back. It is living the dream. Poland will advance to the regional finals. They will play on Saturday, and I want to get their matchup for you here before we get out of the girls' soccer scoreboard. They will play Saturday against Chagrin Falls, who beat West Branch 1-0 with state on the line, and that game will be played at Parma Byers Field at Parma High School at noon on Saturday. So Poland, they are 1 win away from state. They will play once again Chagrin Falls, who beat West Branch 1-0. We had a chance in an all YSN regional final. Unfortunately, Chagrin Falls Tigers take that away. But maybe Poland will get some revenge for West Branch on Saturday. While we're here, Scotty, while we have the scoreboard open, I know we usually break the scoreboard up, but that's usually because we have a whole slew of games. Let's get into tonight's action, what we have going on tonight. We have 3 boys teams alive and well in the regional semifinals tonight. Poland, boys and girls, both trying to get to the regional finals. They will play Field. Beaver Local plays Riverview, and United will play against Kidron Central Christian. United, a program historic run, especially if they win tonight. Their program has never been to the regional finals. They're trying to do that tonight. Let me pull up the winners tonight. Will go on to play on Sunday. If Poland wins, they'll go to Niles on Sunday. If Beaver Local wins, they'll go to play at Plains Athens High School on Sunday. And if United wins, they'll go to play on Sunday at Streetsboro. The locations tonight, Poland versus Field will be played at Ravenna High School. Beaver Local, who is the 2 against number 1 Riverview, so this is 2 versus 1 in the regional rankings. That'll be West Muskingham High School. And then United and Kidron Central Christian will be traveling to Copley High School for that one. All games kick off at 7 o'clock for those matchups. We also have Pennsylvania postseason volleyball tonight. WPIL semifinals. Beaver will go up against Hampton. You see Beaver, they're the 1 seed. They are the favorites to win the Whipple. But they have to prove it tonight in the semis. A win tonight will guarantee them a qualifier into the Pennsylvania State tournament, which you get by, I know that Whipple is kind of like the regionals for Ohio, if you're thinking of it that way. So kind of in the same round, regional semifinals. The Whipple is kind of like the regionals of Pennsylvania, but it works out a little bit differently. You don't have to win the Whipple to get into the PA State qualifiers. You just have to get top 3. So either a win tonight, or if they do happen to lose, they would be going into the 3rd place game. They could win that too and get into the Pennsylvania State Championship. So it is not win or go home tonight. This is the WPIL bracket. They could lose and win the 3rd place game in the WPIL and still get into the state round of the Pennsylvania playoffs. So Beaver, not a lot of pressure to win, but they're the 1 seed in the Whipple, and they would love to win the Whipple, which if you're over there in PA, a lot of people kind of put winning the Whipple on a pedestal even over winning the state championship, which is crazy, but that's how some people look at it. And I mean, winning the Whipple is not easy. So Beaver in the semifinals tonight, we wish them the best of luck as they play for a chance to go into the WPIL championship tonight.
Best of luck for sure.
So that is the scoreboard. What happened last night? What's happening tonight? Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have, I believe, 9 teams alive in the volleyball regionals as well. So tomorrow's show will come out and we'll talk about volleyball a little bit, get you set up for what's going down tomorrow night. But before we get to all that, before tomorrow comes, Scotty, it is your day to shine. And we always ask, Scotty, what is on your mind today? And we have a lot of time today because there weren't a lot of games last night to talk about. So we'll get a couple of things on your mind. You have to remind me to take a commercial break, and then we'll come back and get a few more. All right. So let's start off. What's on your mind today?
All right. Well, I'll definitely make sure I'll lock it in to remind you that we got a break. But on my mind today, I guess I wanted to start obviously with the postseason here for football. It's going to be a big topic of conversations. We went over some big matchups in the playoffs, some in other sports too, but football wise, I believe there's 27 area teams in the playoffs, and I think there's I think there's 3 rematches in this weekend. Rematches um, from the regular season, and that includes the Lowville McDonald matchup. And I guess to start off, I just wanted to know, what do you think will be the keys for the teams that lost the first time around to have a chance in these second matchups now? And just exclusively for my Rockets, McDonald housed them the first time around 42-14. So how do they make that a game with this second matchup coming up here?
Scotty, you look at Louisville's season and the way they played all year. I really think Coach Mamula would say it too. Like that game was kind of, you never want to use the word fluke because they that's how they played. But they didn't play well. Like they didn't play their style of football. They got behind early. They couldn't really ever find their footing. They've played better in almost every single game they've played all year. So you could probably say, from a football standpoint, worst game of the year that they played all year. So that's bad because it's like, oh dang, we want. But now you get a chance at redemption. You get a chance to put your best foot forward and see where the dice land this time around. And I think that's all Louisville has to do. I mean, I think they all know they're better than 42-14. I think they know that McDonald is not, what is that, 30, no, 29 points better than them. I think they realize that. No, 28 points better than them. Sorry, mental math. Um, so I think they understand, like, hey, if we just, go out there and really execute our game plan, not saying that they're all necessarily gonna cruise against McDonald and all of a sudden flips like that, but it'll be a lot closer and they'll have their chances to win if they're able to go out there and play their brand of football and execute the way they want to. They did not execute against McDonald. They had turnovers, they had penalties. It was just one of those games, Scotty. They couldn't get out of their own way. And you add to that McDonald played really, really well in that game. So it was a perfect storm where Louisville was not putting their best foot forward and McDonald absolutely was. So I think they realized that. I think they probably burned that film a little bit and throw it away because they realized that's not us. That's not what we're about, talking about Louisville. Um, and I think the things that they did wrong, if I'm not mistaken, because I haven't looked at the film in a long time since they played each other, but I believe most of the things they did wrong weren't like a strategic, we have to change this. It was just execution, which film doesn't really help you on execution. It's just, hey, yeah, you're supposed to be here and you weren't, you were there. So let's get there this time. So I think Louisville just has to play their brand of football like they have every other game they played this year, and they'll be in striking distance at least.
So from that, I get the feeling that you do think this second matchup is going to be a lot
A lot
closer.
closer, yeah.
Okay.
Could be. I
Um,
mean, hope that's the hope on Louisville's side. Sometimes they're kids, right? They can get a little bit tight and be like, "Oh man, we have to play so much better this time." And then you get a little bit tight. It's playoffs, and tightness in playoffs can be expanded a little bit. Everything is magnified because there's so much pressure to do everything right. So you never know, but I feel like this will be a closer game than 42-14.
yeah, I certainly hope so. It's kind of like I think DJ said this before. It's weird when uh, when YSM first started, only having a number of schools, but now having like way more. It's weird because I'm I bleed Camel and Logo, but I'm also YSN now. So it's like all the area schools. It's kind of like when you say you just want to see clean, good games, and that's what I want to see. Um, Not games that are lopsided, especially in the playoff time. Um, so I just want to see them have a chance. I want it be a game in the fourth quarter, and I think there's a pretty decent chance that it will be a competitive game in the fourth quarter. Um, of the 27 area teams, and is there a team that you think could maybe the obviously we know the favorites and the teams that are expected to maybe go on some deep postseason runs or compete for a state title, but are there a few teams of the area teams that you think maybe didn't have the greatest regular season but can really do some damage here in the playoffs, at least in round one?
I'm looking at all these matchups, Scotty, and I'm looking at like kind of the brackets and how they line up. There are some teams that I think have a chance to at least win one or two games in the playoffs and put their name in the hat. I think Girard has a chance to do that. They've played well the last couple weeks. They've started to get momentum. They're starting to find the end zone a lot more than they did in the weeks 6 through 8. So I think they're starting to find a little bit of rhythm. So I think Girard can get a couple wins. They open with a home game against Edison, so that's favorable for them. Um, I think Western Reserve can win a couple of games for sure. They start with a home game. A road team that I think is pretty dangerous is Southern Local. They're going to Wyndham, and this is no disrespect to Wyndham out there, but Southern has beaten some really good teams this year, and they've proven that their brand of football is alive and well. Now, I know they're not bringing Wyndham to the Wigwam, which is a big advantage in the Wigwam to have a home game for Southern, but I do believe the Indians would be if I had to pick one road team that I think would have the best chance to get the upset win and, go to the next round, I think Southern might be that team.
Interesting there. And I wanted to talk a little bit too about Springfield a little bit as well. And
Are you sure they weren't too kind to your Rockets this week, Scotty?
I know that. I know.
I couldn't be an audible call, but I did see the rundown of the scoring plays, and I went, ooh, ooh, ooh.
You kind of foreshadowed that, Anthony, honestly, because I think the week before on it might have been the same week or the week before when we did Running Point together, and you said Springfield is one of the teams where they're playing really good ball right now. They can make a run, kind of clicking on all cylinders, and I guess that's what I wanted to get to. We saw them start off, and it wasn't the prettiest game against your South Range Raiders. I think it was another game where they gave up over 40 against South Range, and then they had another loss early in the year, but it was close. And I forget who that was against. It's
Geneva. Lost to Geneva.
Yeah, 17. I think that was
Those are both teams, by the way, that Springfield went way up in division. Not way up for South Range, but up in division. And then a little bit even further up for Geneva. So those were big teams that they lost to. And they were games where it was low risk, high reward for the Tigers because a loss is a loss, right? It does, the computer points don't care how much you lose by. It's not like an eye test for NCAA football. You just get 0 points for a loss. So it's not like they get more points for losing to a Division III or Division V team. But if they would have won those games, that would have been big. So I have no problems with Springfield playing those games. And maybe they learned some lessons in those games too. They obviously came off them and had a very good regular season, and now they're a home team in the playoffs. And Springfield in playoffs equal danger. Will Robinson. For you 80s people that grew up with Lost in Space. Danger, Will Robinson. If you're playing in Springfield or against Springfield in the postseason, They're a winning culture. They know how to win. Those kind of teams are dangerous. JFK, South Range, Perry, these teams that have continued Garfield, these teams that have continually getting in the playoffs and they continue to prove they know how to win in playoff situations. They're dangerous. They're always going to be dangerous.
And do you think it's more just kind of the the players? Obviously, they're well coached too, but I kind of feel like it's sometimes at the beginning of the year, um, you you take some lumps. You might have some tough games, but it kind of is a little bit of a. It's like, okay, we just have to be better, and maybe it's a case where, like you said, it's not necessarily something they did schematically, but it's more of a thing like, okay, we just didn't execute here. But do you think because of the culture that Springfield has built now for quite a while, for several years, that it's one of those things that you think even if they do start slow, like they're gonna find it because of that culture? Do you think it's easier to execute when you know you've done it before, even if you don't have as much talent in years past? Do you think it's easier to execute when you're a school that's done it before over compared to a school that maybe has a ton of talent, but they're still trying to prove themselves?
Scotty, I think culture doesn't automatically mean you're going to win every playoff game. It doesn't give Springfield a sharpie into the state tournament or anything like that. But what it does is it gives you a little bit of an edge in tight situations, in clutch positions, in pressure situations. You have that coaching staff that's been there. You have players that have either played in those kind of games, or if they haven't played in them, they've watched people play in them, and they've grown up with people playing in them in their own communities, and they've had access to those players, so they've been able to feed off of their mindset. There's a culture in Springfield and in all these other schools that we've talked about that we mentioned that just knows how to win and not how to play not to lose. There's a difference between playing not to lose and playing to win. And when you look at teams like Springfield, it seems like when the playoffs turn on, when the lights turn on for playoffs, they get it. They understand exactly what it means to be in that spot. They don't let the lights get to them. They don't let the stage get to them. Um, and that has to do with not just coaching. Coaching is a part of it. It takes a coach to build a culture, but culture is a two-way street. The players and the leaders on the field have to also feed into the culture and buy into the culture for it to sustain itself past just one class that comes in and builds it, right? And we've seen that from Springfield for a while now. So coaching staff definitely a big part of it, but also when you have players, no matter what the talent level is, the players that buy into this whole culture that they have um, is why you're going to succeed. And like I said, it doesn't automatically mean they're unbeatable and they had this plot armor, as movie fans like to say, where no one can beat them because they have this incredible culture. But it does mean that they're going to have a little bit of an upper hand, especially in high pressure situations in a game that lends itself to that situation. So Springfield's, the South Ranges of the world, the Polands of the world, the Perrys of the world, those teams that have continuously not just gotten to the playoffs, but won playoff games, they kind of know how to do it. They know what it takes to do it. They understand what it means to win playoff games, and they'll have that edge. They'll have that serious advantage. That is an advantage. I don't want people to think that it's a throwaway thing. Well, that's in the past. It doesn't matter. It's only what happens now. No. Knowing how to win playoff games matters, especially the lower levels you get, right? The high school, these are kids, right? So any edge you get is big. So that advantage they have can pay dividends, and we'll see if it does this year. It almost got them a big upset last year when they almost made a deep playoff run for Springfield. So the Tigers, they're well coached, they're well led, they have a good chance.
You brought up another thing interesting when you to me that really got me thinking, got the wheels spinning literally, um, when you talked about teams playing to win and compared to playing the game not to lose. Um, do you think, no, not that anybody, I don't think anybody goes into a game. I think more times than not, you know, when players and coaches go in the games, they're thinking about ways they can win the game and not, if we do this we're gonna lose. Like, I don't think most of the time a team's thinking about the things that could go wrong. They're thinking about things they're gonna do that are gonna be go right for them. So with that, but at the same time, with that being said, do you think there is a balance of, like, coaches and players kind of go through scenarios maybe in practice and in their head, and there's a balance of, okay, let's be a little more conservative here and play it safe, and then when our shot, when we want to take a shot, when we think there's a window for us to be really aggressive, we can. Do you think there's like a balance of that, or do you think it's just like on the fly, just reactionary, and more times than not, coaches and players are always going to be aggressive and not really ever be conservative?
I think every coach is different. I don't think there's one great answer to that. I think some coaches like to, kind of move the battleship pieces when oh, I can be aggressive here, but maybe I'm not going to be aggressive here, here, here. But then there are some coaches that are like full steam ahead. We're going to be aggressive. This is how we play no matter what. And those are the coaches that will go for it on fourth down in their own territory because they believe that is the way to win, and that works sometimes. And there are some coaches that are like super conservative that have just grown up with, or maybe have played the game in a way that is just like, hey, if we don't put ourselves in bad situations, we have more chances to win, and that can work too. It's all stylized, it's all, there's not one way to win in football. We all know that. We've seen at every level, we've seen different coaches with different styles win and be successful. I mean, you look at, for example, I mean, just using the NFL, I don't think anyone would say Andy Reid runs a team like Bill Belichick, right? There are stylistic differences between those two coaches and how they do things, but they both work. They both got multiple Super Bowls, so there are more ways. There are more than one ways to win, and there are more than one styles to win in football. So I know that's kind of a cop out answer, Scotty, because it's like all of them, But I think it's true. I think there are coaches that have been very successful being very conservative and not putting their team in positions where they're going to make um, game altering mistakes. And there are teams that are ultra aggressive, that always are kind of pushing the envelope, putting pressure on other teams, and almost always seem to have their opponent on their heels. And there are coaches that kind of are a mix of both, that are kind of situational. Um, and those are the ones that you just kind of don't know what you're going to get. They're hard to coach against because you don't understand. Maybe they'll go for it here, maybe they won't. How do I approach this situation? How do I approach this? Because you don't know exactly what they're going to do. So everything works for, I think, what the coaches are comfortable with, what the coaches have said is their culture, is their philosophy, and how much the players buy into that as players is important too. So um, I think it's all the above. I think it's D, all the above.
And then one other, because I know we gotta get to a
Gotta get
break,
to a break after this
pay
one,
some
Scotty.
bills. So one other thing I had before we get to a break, and I guess exclusively tied to football. We
Excuse me.
started with that. Where do you come on, Anthony? Because you always give very insightful. It's why I like picking your brain, because I think you always give very insightful and at times even thought provoking
You know,
answers.
quit trying to
But
butter me up, Scotty.
but I just was wondering, when it comes to analytics in sports, it seems like a lot of sports, especially like football, is more and more analytic driven, and maybe it started with baseball with Billy Bean or even before that. Um, but it seems like it's so analytic driven now, and I think a team like the Browns, I think in the NFL they use analytics more than any other team, if I'm not mistaken. And my point is, I guess I think there is a place for analytics in sports, but I also think it can't really measure like drive and heart and things like that. And it's not just like playing a video game, or like people are like toy soldiers and they're just gonna be robots. I think it doesn't factor in the human emotion. So I think like analytics, they've kind of become. I think some teams, they put too much emphasis on it, and because you don't factor in the emotions element of the sport. But where do you come on that?
You're gonna be one of those people that fights against robots taking over the military, aren't you? um, no, I think analytics is um, in some sports are more geared towards numbers and analytics than others. Like you brought up baseball. I think baseball is probably way more geared towards the numbers and analytics than other sports. Knowing tendencies and when a pitcher's going to throw this pitch and how he throws it. That's going to be really important to a hitter because it's so much. You got to know so much. But a phrase that I first heard in baseball that um, I think is universal to every sport when you're talking about analytics. There is such a thing as analysis paralysis, Scotty. Getting too much caught up in the numbers and not letting your athletic ability or your skill or whatever you have just go and do it. Trusting your instincts. Instincts work. So the team, I think you're right on the point. There's a spot for analytics. It should be there. The people that ignore it completely are dumb. Numbers are there for a reason, and the statistics point to things for a reason. But people that say, "Hey, I'm going to hit the button because the analytics says so," it's kind of like auto drafting in fantasy football, right? Sometimes the computer will hit for you. Sometimes you're going to be sitting at home going, "Why in the world is this guy on my fantasy team?" Well, because the computer thought it was a good pick. Oops.
Yeah, like
But that's just it. I mean, analytics will tell you if it's a good idea to do something. Doesn't say it's gonna work. It just says, hey, it's probably a good idea. Like fourth down analytics are my favorite. Like, hey, it's 4th and 2. You're at the 40-yard line. Analytics says this is a pretty good idea. Now, analytics does not come out and say, hey, guess what? This will work. It just says this is a good idea. So you have to. I think some coaches hear this is a good idea, and out of the other year it goes, this is going to work 100% of the time. Go. That's not what the analytics is telling you. Like people that you have to be able to read analytics the right way. Like the numbers are not telling you this will work. It is saying this is a smart move, and that's why I've said it before on the show with you, Scotty. There's a difference between bad play call, or we were talking about the pitching back in the DS with Cleveland. Remember the 3 straight sliders, and I said bad pitch selection is not bad pitch location. So
and somebody said the manager
Somebody
was.
was saying the manager was calling pitches in the MLB. I mean,
Yeah.
some Giacomo out there thought that the manager was calling 3 straight sliders, but even if he was, which he doesn't, um, not a bad pitch selection, bad pitch location. There's a difference between the two. Same thing with play calls in the NFL. Sometimes it's a good play call. You can see it on tape, like, oh, it worked. It got the defense where he wanted to, but it just wasn't executed the way it's supposed to be. And that's something that analytics will never be able to calculate how you're going to actually do it, right? How you're actually going to execute it. That will never be able to be calculated by analytics. Analytics will just tell you it's a smart move. You can go for it. It's okay. It's smart. It's a good decision. But some people take analytics and say, "Oh, it'll work. Okay, go for it." No, I'm not telling you it'll work. I'm just telling you it's smart. It's a good idea to go for it. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of like, do you ever remember like playing like, I think I'm pretty sure it was a part of Madden, like you could ask him, like he would
oh,
give.
ask Madden and he give you a
Yeah,
suggestion. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
kind
never
of,
used that.
you could run the play Madden calls on this big play. But a lot of times for me, I would ask man, and it would like blow up on my in my face, and I think it was like one of those things where
Madden
I
says run the ball up the middle.
should have went for that first down, but maybe I shouldn't have ran a draw play like
Right.
Madden said.
It,
So,
you know,
so it no, just basically kind of going off what you said, like it's a it gives you like suggestions and it tells you like go for this, but the play selection and that it doesn't mean it knows the perfect play or that the execution.
let's be honest, like no one knows the perfect play. Like I think armchair quarterbacks give coaches when they're watching on TV, they think they can be coaches. So it drives me nuts on social media when people are like that's a terrible play call. Okay, do you think the coach was up there like just throwing darts at a playboard and saying I think this one will work? Like that has been weeks of preparation or a week of preparation that's in the play call for a reason. They saw something for like these are paid professionals. They know what they're doing a lot more than you do, buddy. Mr. Et, Ladies Man 216, there in on Twitter. They it's just funny. Do you find it hilarious when fans are like that was a terrible play call? It's like okay, let's put you in the offensive coordinator seat for a game, and you do better, Mister Armchair Quarterback. There, let's see how you handle it. Uh,
Yeah,
d-
yeah.
Once again, execution does not equal bad play call. Um, I will. I'm gonna be the guy. I'll do it. Pete Carroll throwing the ball on. I think it was like second. It
The
wasn't fourth and
Marshawn
goal
Lynch
at
game.
the 1 yard line.
You read my mind. You
It
read my
was.
mind.
It wasn't necessarily a bad. We've seen that work. We've seen throwing the ball down there in a run situation work. I get it. He has the best running back in the NFL. My critique on that play was never the play call. My critique on that play was that Marshawn Lynch wasn't even on the field. So there was the defense kind of never even considered him to be an option to run the ball. And you got to put him on the field in that play. It was the same thing. I don't know if you remember the USC Texas championship game
I
way
do.
back when Vince
And
Young and Matt Leinart.
yeah.
Do you remember USC had the ball, and if they get a first down, this game's over. Texas doesn't have a chance. They can run at the clock. It's like 4th and 1, and they try to run it and they get stuffed.
I
Do you
see.
like?
I
Do you kind
don't
of recall
remember
a little
that
bit?
exclusively, but
So
it's
let me set the scene for you.
okay.
USC has the lead. I think it's like a 5-point lead or something. They have the ball. They're driving. They have Lindell White in the backfield, who is a power back. They haven't been stopped on a power run with him all day long. So it's 4th and 1. Everyone knows what's coming. But the one thing I critique about that play wasn't that they ran it. They ran the ball up the middle like they have been all year, all day, and it had been working, and they got stuffed. But I would have had Reggie Bush on the field, because then a defense, even for a second, looks and says they might give the ball to Reggie Bush because he was that kind of guy. If you don't put that kind of guy on the field, then you don't even have the inner mind as a defender, and they get completely locked into the run, and they went out and make a play. I feel like if you don't have Marshawn Lynch on the field for that play, the Patriots for a little, they don't even have a moment to think this is going to Marshawn Lynch.
No.
It was probably a little bit of a tip that they're passing it, honestly, with Marshawn Lynch not in the game.
Yeah.
And the defender made a really good play, undercut a little inner in cut, right? So what can you do? I mean, it was a backup quarterback that missed the play completely in practice. Have you seen that film where they practice against that play and Butler like completely blew it up and he miffed it and it was a touchdown and Bill Belichick's yelling at him? So it was just a guy that was in the same situation in practice, completely messed up. He wasn't going to let it mess up again. He made a beautiful play. That's probably the best play he's made in his career. I don't think he did anything after that game. He's one of those unsung, once in a lifetime heroes in the Super Bowl, kind of like the Rams linebacker that made the tackle against Andre Dyson in the Super Bowl against the Titans.
Oh, I did.
Where he never did anything before, he never did anything after. But if he doesn't make that tackle, they lose the Super Bowl. So he is one of the best heroes in Rams franchise history. But other than that play, kind of a no-name. Same thing with Malcolm Butler for the Patriots. Other than that play, kind of a no-name, right?
And even like, what was his name? David Tyree for the Giants.
Yep, kind of a no-name. Yeah. Unbelievable. That's what's fun about sports, Scotty. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more on Running Point on a Wednesday episode, always brought to you by our good friends right above our heads. Big logo on Wednesday, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We'll be right back.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online.
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
And on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you so you don't have to. Scotty, before we get to some more things on your mind today on this show, a couple of reminders that we talked about in the top of the show that we want to get to, maybe some new viewers that have stepped in halfway through or whatever it might be. We want to remind everyone that playoff football is Friday, week 11, first round of playoffs. And we will have a lot of coverage. Right now, we have A total of 17 games cleared and ready to be broadcasted. This will be pay-per-view for playoff football. So one payment of $9.99 will get you access to all the games on the playlist. So if you have anyone tell you that it's anything more than that, or someone trying to get you to pay for anything more than one payment of $9.99, you've clicked on the wrong thing, and it's not us. I know we've had problems in the past of some pop-ups that pop up on our site that make you try to subscribe to something or pay more than $9.99. That is so hard to say. $9.99. Make you pay more than that. But if it's more than that, it's not us. We are asking for one solid payment of $9.99 that will get you access to every game that night for football. 17 games as of now. We are working on getting a couple more cleared as well, so we could have more by Friday. Make sure to tune into our social media page every time something gets cleared. We will put it up and make sure that you guys know that we will be at a game. And if you have any questions, hey, will you be at this game? Maybe you can't find it. We'll answer you. We'll say yes, we're going to be there, or no, we couldn't get cleared. So that's a reminder there. Also, a reminder that there's boys soccer tournament time tonight, regional semifinals. We have 3 teams left in the regional semifinals in boys soccer. Beaver Local, Poland, and United all going for regional finals. And there you go. That's who their opponents are. We'll pop that up on the scoreboard, brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs one last time. Poland against Field, Beaver Local against Riverview, and United against Kidron Central Christian. They're all going at it. Beaver Volleyball going for the semifinals in the WPIL. They're trying to get into the WPIL championship match tonight with their matchup in the WPIL semis. So that's what's going on tonight. Scotty, what we have more. We have more time for what's on your mind. Let's get even more dangerous today. We have a little bit more time. What's your closing thoughts?
More dangerous. Well, and I was reading about your Kansas City Chiefs this morning, and they face off against a former Browns player this week in Baker Mayfield. But it's been the Bucs have struggled the last few weeks. The Chiefs are on a roll once again, coming into the game undefeated, and the defense looks every bit as good from what I've seen, if not better than last year. But I just wanted to know, what do you think? What do you think DeAndre Hopkins brings to the Chiefs' offense? Do you think he'll be a guy that could, take their offense to another level at this point in his career? And Anthony, if you had to put a percentage on it, what are the chances, if you had to say right now, that the Chiefs go undefeated in the regular season? They would be the first team to do so since the 2007 Patriots.
Well, Scotty, that's a lot to unpack. Let's talk about D-Hop. I think I'm excited for it because he got to Kansas City on Thursday. So he started in the building on Thursday. So Thursday to Sunday, we already saw him get open multiple times. He had 2 catches. One of them was to say a typical D-Hop catch where he just goes up and gets it. That's what we want. That's what we want a guy. We want a guy that can just go up and get 50-50 balls, especially in the red zone. So, now he's going to have a whole week of learning the system under his belt. I'm pretty excited, man. I'm pretty excited about D-Hop. I know a lot of people think he's maybe a little bit washed up, but, man, the dude gets open and he catches contested balls. And now he's in a spot where he's in a culture that's fighting for a championship, which you could argue he's never really been in before. The Texans weren't really a championship team. They were a playoff team. They get into the playoffs, but they weren't going to Super Bowls. They weren't going to AFC championships. They weren't that we got to have a culture. Now he's in a culture that's like, hey, Super Bowl is our goal, or tangible, realistic, grabbing at goal. That's going to be big for a guy that's trying to rejuvenate his career a little bit. So I'm excited for that. I'm really, Kareem Hunt has looked good, although I wasn't a huge fan of re-signing him because of the way he left. I felt like we made that statement. We said, hey, we're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior when he left. And now it's like, hey, we'll bring you back on. But he's running well. And, what can you say? The dude was on the couch all season and has come on and already had like I think 60 or 70 carries on the year and has played really well. Travis Kelce, 10 catches. Everything's looking good in Kansas City right now. I know Patrick Mahomes statistically isn't having the best year. In fact, he's leading the league in interceptions and statistically having the worst year of his career, but it's winning. Like he wins. He makes winning plays. I don't know what to tell you. If you would ask me, hey, would you rather Patrick Mahomes be going off and you guys would be like 5-2 or 4-3 right now, or would you rather have Patrick Mahomes, statistically mid but undefeated? I mean, I think everyone in the world would be like 7-0. Let's go. I mean, stats don't win games, so he's finding ways to win. He makes game-winning plays. We saw that 2 weeks ago with his runs that they got him into the end zone. We saw that in the Raiders game. See that consistently. He might be throwing interceptions, but I think timing of them is important. He's not throwing those, oh my gosh, in the big moments, when you can't afford a turnover, you get one. He's not throwing them then. And a lot of them are just kind of quote unquote fluke. The one he threw Sunday, he had his arm hit on the follow through, some tip balls on the line. Some of them are bad. I'll give him that. Some of them are just bad throws or bad reads or bad decisions. That's definitely been there, but the dude's winning. I don't know what to say. Like, the NFL's got to be terrified that he's having his statistical worst year in his career, and they're 7-0.
Yeah, that's
imagine if he turns it on.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. Pretty good is
scary on Halloween, right?
I would say.
Scott, let's close it because this is our kind of Halloween episode because tomorrow's Halloween. Let's have some fun. Close it out. Give me your favorite Halloween movie. It could be a scary movie or it could be a Halloween themed movie. Maybe you're not into straight up horror, but you have a movie that's kind of a Halloween themed or a lighter Halloween movie. Do you have like a favorite that you like to watch during this time during spooky season?
One of my favorites off the top of my head, you might laugh, but I love myself. Now the sequels I never really got into, but the original Child's Play from the 80s, I really like that one a lot. And The Shining is always
The Shining is top 10 creepiest movies ever.
That's a good creepy one. I like the Rob Zombie Halloween movies.
You lost me.
I know they're not like the classics from the 70s and early 80s, but I do enjoy those. But I like the original Halloween.
Let me ask you something, Scotty. Do you like Rob Zombies better than the one that they came out with in 2018 or whatever, the remake of the remake? Or I guess you could say it's technically, they call it Halloween, but it's technically a sequel. They go back to coming off of the first Halloween. So they kind of erased everything they said in Halloween 2. And they said, here's another Halloween 2. We're just going to redo a timeline here, the one that came out in 2018. I think that's the best remake I've ever seen. I think Rob Zombie's like 1 and 2 are kind of like, oh my gosh, it's not good to me. Sorry. I know you like it, but to me, I was like, this is just stupid, especially the second one. I kind of like Michael's childhood in the first one. That was kind of cool for a little bit.
Yeah,
it drug on way too long. I wasn't a fan, but the 2018 Halloween, that was cool. I like that one. I'll give the remake nod to that one. But I am an OG guy. I'm a classic horror guy, so nothing will beat Halloween. Low budget. I'm gonna make you like the way John Carpenter made something out of almost nothing will always just amaze me. Like he had like $25,000 to make that movie, and it made millions upon millions. Because he kept it simple. Like he was like, I'm gonna terrify you in the simplest way I possibly can.
So you're definitely an original guy.
I think horror had its heyday in the 70s and 80s. A lot of my favorite horror movies are back in that day.
Do you like The Exorcist?
Love The Exorcist.
Me too.
Terrifies me like crazy, but it's so good.
It is. It's a great one.
I like Children of the Corn. I like Carrie. I like.
Do you like Cujo?
Cujo's okay. Night of the Living Dead, like the original one.
Evil Dead?
No, Night of the Living Dead. It's back in the. It's in the old times, right?
Okay.
I like the old Wicker Man was really good. Not Nicolas Cage. The old Wicker Man, really creepy. The first Friday the 13th, I think, is one of the best, and it doesn't even have Jason in it. Spoiler alert: Jason is not the killer in Friday the 13th. I'm an old school horror guy. There are some new ones I like. I'll give it to you. Like Scream, the Scream franchise, always good. There's not a bad Scream movie out there. I think they're all good. They're all fun. I liked the Saw franchise. I thought it was well written. Their twists that they have at the end are mind-boggling. I liked some of the Megan was good. I like the twist, kind of like a Child's Play, but with a robotic doll instead of a serial killer possessed doll. So yeah, they're definitely good new horror movies, but I think the heyday of horror was in the 70s and 80s, without a doubt.
Yeah,
because they relied on simplicity to scare you a little bit. Like, I'm not a fan of like, hey, I'm going to scare you with nothing but jump scares, and here's some like, people are fascinated with gore now, and I'm like, these movies in the 70s and 80s didn't rely on, like, there was almost no blood in the original Halloween.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need to scare people. You need anticipation, suspense.
Yeah, it definitely delivers on all those fronts. There's so many good classics from
Yeah.
70s.
The original Omen,
You can't go wrong.
creepy.
Yeah, the
Pet
original
Cemetery, good.
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby, good call. Like, all these classic horror movies are really good, and I wish people would get a little bit like, because people watch them now and they just see, oh, this is a 70s movie. It doesn't have good special effects. It doesn't. No, I don't want that. No, like, stop it. Stop it. I'll tell you what, one of the newer ones that I thought was wild. I don't know if you've seen it. Florence Pugh's in it, the girl that played in Black Widow. You might know her if you're a Marvel fan. It's called Midsummer.
Oh yeah, that
one
is why. In Hereditary, it's the same director, but Hereditary.
Midsummer will mess you up, right?
Yeah.
That was like, oh, I did not expect it to go that way. The way it went.
Yeah,
I'm not going to spoil anything, but it'll take you in places that you don't expect it to take you.
It's very unsettling.
Yep, very unsettling. I like this newer one too, and I know we're eating overtime. I can get into movie talks forever. If you get me in movies, we'll be here for days. So I'll try to end it with this. One of the ones I watched this Halloween season that I really liked. It was kind of newer. I don't know how new it is. Maybe like 2020. It's called Ready or Not. Kind of a, it's like it's about a girl that marries into a family, and apparently they're like this family that's built in the game industry. And they're like, okay, so one of our traditions is you have to play a game at night, right? You have to play a game, married into the family, you play a game, you pull a card, whatever game comes out is a game you have to play. Apparently the one card you cannot pull is hide and seek. And they pull hide and seek, and hide and seek means that they have to kill the girl by midnight or they all die. So the whole movie is the family trying to chase the girl around the house, trying to kill her. It's really good. I know horror movies, we're talking about, terrible situations, but it's a good movie. Check it out. Check it out this Halloween. Tomorrow's Halloween. We'll be back tomorrow on Running Point. Talk about some volleyball games. Talk about the recap of tonight's boys soccer and volleyball tonight in PA tomorrow on Running Point. Scotty will be back next week on Wednesday. Scotty, we thank you so much for coming on every week. We always appreciate it. Don't forget Playoff Football Friday, pay-per-view, one payment, $9.99, gets you access to all of the games. I'm Anthony Hartwig, signing off. on a Wednesday episode of Running Point. Brought to you by Greenwood